Welcome to 6 Minutes. Jason Fulmore, SC Russell, joined again by Fat and Scrappy's Lucas DeSilva, Bruton Parker's, Fat and Scrappy, whatever. You just have your shirt on. That's the reason
BPC. BPC this time.
There you go. And I've got a UNI, repping UNI, and Lucas has got a little bit of snacks geared up for our conversation.
We don't need it.
In this group, we are talking about 3A, 4A state tournament brackets in Georgia. So before we get to that, let's do a couple things. First and foremost, I want to share this screen, and Lucas actually doesn't know I'm sharing the screen. So that is your new singlets for this year's edition, right?
Yep, of the Knockout SummerSlam that we're going to. These are this design that me and Compound Sportswear we cooked up. I'm super excited. I have a ton of guys wrestling in Mason that are going to be wearing these this summer. I'm just super blessed to work with such a great crew. I mean, Cliff Fretwell, Mark Steen, Gabe McDaniel, the whole crew down there at Compound Sportswear. They're awesome and a pleasure to work with.
So what's up with the Carolina blue there?
That's my Fat and Scrappy teal. That's the blue that I've used. That's been my color, and I like it. And I said last year we did a black and a white singlet. We didn't really use the blue all that much. I said let's blue it out this year, and Mark took it away, and he knew exactly what I wanted. Mark and Jordan, the actual art guys.
All right. Well, it looks good. It looks good.
It's tough as hell. That's all we forget. I was like, ooh.
I love it. I love it. All right. So before we get to everything, I want to, and I'll do the explanation by way of the 3A 106-pound bracket. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I want everybody to know that I'm not sure everybody does know is that there are two sections in Georgia, and an A and a B, and the section champs are on opposite sides of, we now have a 12-man bracket within Georgia. Okay.
Which,
you want to talk?
I want to say one thing just before we get into this, because, and since we're going to get into sectionals, I feel like I need to say one thing. I despise the GHSA with every fiber of my being. If you've been on my Instagram, you know that. But I got to talk to the Twitter fingers and the Facebook fingers and the moaning and the whinging about sectionals. Let me explain something to you. Lake Point Arena has held bigger tournaments. It holds the Southern Grind. It has held the Youth State Tournament when they had 64-man brackets. That is not a bad arena. Maybe too many wrestlers for one arena? Okay, maybe. But let me explain something to you. That was not a bad arena. I don't even think it was a bad idea by GHSA. I'm going to give them this. I like the idea of one arena hosting one section. I think it kind of makes it seem almost like March Madness, how you have the St. Louis region and this region. I think it's kind of cool. You guys are whinging and moaning because you don't like it because you're over entitled. At some point when we're complaining about the GHSA, let's keep it to things that actually make sense. Because here's the other thing. Most of the other sections went off that hitch. I heard the Brunswick one was great. I heard the Lumpkin one was great. Discovery had some technical snafus, but shout out to Craig Cawthorn. He was in the building and took care of business, stepping up like the OG he is. At some point, we got to understand that nothing is going to be perfect. I don't like the whinging that was going on. It was a great weekend of sectionals, and now we have state and Macon. We can complain about this later on. We can complain about Macon in another day.
So there were some challenges. There were a lot of kids, a lot of people in gyms. I do know Troup County kind of went late, or didn't kind of go late. It went late trying to get through different things. So there were probably some challenges, but to kind of bring it back, to bring it back to your point is that there are bigger fish to fry, right? So there are challenges. So that does not seem to be our biggest challenge.
Like, hey, if you don't like how big sectionals are, take down some of the classifications. Just going to throw that out there. If there were less classes, we wouldn't have as many people in sectional brackets. I'm just going to throw that out there.
All right. So I want to go back to this.
That's my hill I will die on.
I want to explain.
As we were saying, all the way back.
So the way this works, for those of you that don't know, is your Section A champ is on top, your Section B champ is on the bottom, and then the 2 and the 3 from the opposite section share that side with the other sectional champ. So Westbury and Chastain took 2nd and 3rd for Section A, and they share this side with the Gilmer wrestler, Juan Rafael. And then up here, the 2 and the 3, I'm not sure which one's the 2 or the 3 out of these two, and Logan Opdyke out of Rockmart is the 2 from Ron Raphael's section. So the reason, what happens in this situation is that we get a lot of potential quarterfinals right here of 2 kids from the same sectional who are going to wrestle one another. And it's really interesting because some of them saw each other last weekend, and some of them didn't see each other last weekend. And it will be really interesting to see who goes through. So, and
we see it throughout the state that a lot of these brackets have some potential firework matchups in the quarters. And because we've all seen it that someone has a bad sectional, and now it's almost punishing you for having a worse sectional, because now you may have to run into that cat that beat you in the sems, that beat you in the 3rd, 4th. You might have to run into them super early, and it's fascinating to see.
Yeah. So again, for context for everyone, some states have 2 sectionals. Florida has 4 regions, which has its own challenges and own problems as well. But with only 2 sectionals, you pretty much have an idea because 2 people emerged on the top step. So they're the ones who sit in the prime spots of being able to get through their side. So let's jump to 3A 106 and talk to me a little bit about this bracket and what you see as who's your favorite in this group.
Juan Rafael all year. He seemed really dominant. His 2 losses, I believe, are both out of classification losses. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Please don't anyone. Me, I love me some Rockmart, but I see Rafael as the favorite. He beat Updike in the sectional final. If I remember from what I heard, it was pretty dominant. It was Juan Rafael controlled the match. So to me, he's the favorite going in. I don't know too much about Adonis Sanchez, so if I'm mistaken, this kid is a hammer, please do not, don't get at me. I'm admitting that. I don't know too much about him. So to me, Rafael's the favorite. Okay. Watch out, though, for Landon Banks. Call me crazy. He's 40-9. The kid's tough. He's a sophomore. He would run into Updike in the quarters, but just I like Banks. I've watched him wrestle a handful of times. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, that's awesome. So just so you know, I actually am not going to do my favorites and everything. I actually have them written out on the website. So this is kind of more Lucas's show. I'm going to give him a little bit of feedback, kind of what I think, to let him know Sanchez was a state placer last year at this weight. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's the favorite necessarily in terms of the weight class, but he is a returning state placer, so that is something to keep. That's good to know. No, I didn't know that genuinely. I mean, then him and Updike should be a fun semi, assuming they both get there. Yeah, and that's the other thing I think we should talk about is that we're going to make some assumptions on who might win some early round matchups to get to that point, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we necessarily believe that is what is going to happen. We just are trying to kind of, this is a potential matchup. This is a potential. Everybody in the comments, before someone starts getting mad at me, why are you hating on insert name? This is me saying, if this were to happen, because this is all hypotheticals. At the end of the day, the boys got to toe the line on Thursday morning. You know what I'm saying? This is all hypothetical, shooting from the hip, having some fun. Like I said in the last video, we're having some fun. That's all this is. All right, so let's go to 113. Can you see it in front of you? Yes, I can. All right. Who's your favorite? It has to be TK Davis, I think. He's wrestled lights out this entire season. I've got the opportunity. So I know some people didn't Rockmart, and I asked for some tape of TK Davis, and I need to tell you something.
That kid is impressive. If you're a college coach in the Southeast, I'm going to say this to you. TK Davis needs to be on your board somewhere. Super stingy hand fighter, can get to your legs from all angles, top and bottom, super stingy, not going to give you too many stupid stuff. He's a stud. I love watching him wrestle. I think he is the favorite, but I am going to say I've heard a lot of good things about Pierce Pennington. I've heard a lot of good things. I've never seen him, but I've heard good things.
Okay. So those are our two. That's our favorite, and that's the other sectional champ. Who within the bracket do you think is kind of a dark horse? Somebody that might surprise a few people?
Honestly, it's going to be a little bit of Sonoraville bias. Thomas Young, he's 27-13. He comes from Sonoraville. Now he's in a tough spot. He's going to catch if he can get through Matthew Lee, he'll catch TK in the quarters.
Yeah.
But the one thing that we know about Georgia is when you come from one of these top tier programs, it's almost as if, have you ever seen this effect that where kid from wherever's wrestling, and he steps across the line from a Jefferson kid, a Buford kid, a Woodward kid.
Sure.
And the energy's different. And when they get that win, it's like, oh, I beat a big dog. I almost feel like Sonoraville has almost put themselves in that class, along with a lot of other schools where, hey, we're top 3 in our class. We're one of the best teams in the state. We can bang with anybody. So that kid, I'm going to imagine, will be ready to go. And I've seen him wrestle once or twice at Grindhouse. He's pretty good, too. So that would be my dark horse if I had to pick one.
Okay.
By the way, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this again for people. I am not as intelligent on the little, like, I'm trying to get better, but especially with the smaller classes, I am still a little out of my gourd. So if I'm missing someone, please, it is no disrespect. I'm admitting it. I'm admitting it ahead of time. Now, when we get to 7A, 6A, that's more that's my kind of country. Even 1A to an extent, but the middle class, I start getting a little confused. I'll admit it. I'll throw my hand up.
So TK Davis, he has beaten Ferris. Ferris, I think, beat him last year in the state finals. But this year, I mean, it's a whole new year, and Davis has really rocked it. So I think you're right. I think Pennington, I haven't seen him wrestle. Maybe I saw him wrestle up at McCallie. I know Ringgold was there, but Ferris, you know, he's been there. He's already been to the top step. He just hasn't been able to overtake Davis this year. So it'll be really interesting. All right. So let's jump unless you want to continue.
No, I agree.
Let's jump to 20. All right. So weight class 120, 3A, favorite?
This is a little bit more of a weird weight for me because obviously Isaiah Beavers is there. 58-0, a perfect tally on the season. But you look at that top side. Jackson Owens can bang. Kenley Evanson can bang. Like that top, even you look, if you go to that top side, you see a Nolan Rower at a Ringgold. You see an Arturo Gonzalez at a Gilmer. Like that top side can have 4 or 5 kids that could come out through it. And then on that bottom side, I mean, it's going to be tough for me to pick against Beavers because I've seen the kid and I know the kid. By the way, Isaiah Beavers, I still need a 120 for June. Hit me up. But I'm not even joking with you. I can't find this kid. Hey, no, put the camera on me a second. No, I'm being dead. I'm not even playing right now. If someone knows Isaiah Beavers and can get me his contact, slide in my DMs. I don't know that kid personally, but he's a 120, so I want to ask him some things. But like I said, that top side is going to be really fun to watch. You should have some really fun round of 12s and quarters matchups. But if I got to pick a favorite, it's going to be Beavers.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think Beavers is definitely the favorite. And I'm glad you brought this up because I think we're going to see this throughout the conversation in the different weight classes that we're talking about. One side is going to be more difficult than the other side, at least on paper.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you in that top side of that bracket looks more challenging. Looks like if you're sitting in the stands, you're just enjoying wrestling, you need to pay attention to the top side matches. They're going to be close matches. There's going to be some really good battles back and forth for the opportunity to probably face Beavers in the finals.
Yeah. And this again, like no disrespect to anybody else in that bracket, but just that is more a notch in the belt of Isaiah Beavers that he has wrestled a lights out season, 58-0. That is a very difficult. That is a difficult thing to do. I never wrestled a season undefeated. My best season was 64-1. You know, I never went undefeated in a season. He is on mark to do that. I mean, God bless him. You know, the kid's a hammer.
Who was your loss to?
Who was my loss to? Hell. Who did I lose to that year? My junior year. Johnny Lovett in knockout. Lost him in the semis.
Who currently wrestles for Central Michigan.
He's a stud. No, he's a stud. No, anyways.
All right, so 126. This is a fun weight. So who's your favorite? And talk just real quickly about the bracket.
Okay. This is when Honest Lucas has to come out. I want D-Tom to get a ring. I have known Dawson Thompson since he was 6 years old. I love that kid to death. He is a Team Fat and Scrappy member. I will say it now. I am rooting for Dawson Thompson. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, hey, Noah Watts is a dog. Kerwin Martinez is a dog. Hey, Miguel James is a hammer. And even on the in the front side, Donovan Miller, 42-6 out of Harlem, is that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that kid. Shout out Sean Houston. He kind of told me about that kid. Like Hudson Moss out of Ringgold, like Gunnar Chambers, obviously out of Rockmart, who's 38-5 on the year and sits in the 3 slot. I want to know what happened in his sectional bracket, but anyways, like there's a lot.
Well, he lost either to Dawson Thompson or Kerwin Martinez. He likely lost to one of those two.
We can assume.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where I don't know if I could truly pick a favorite because A, I'm biased, and B, even if I pick away from that bias, there's 4 or 5. That's a weight where that top 6, you could tell me about 20 different orders, and I won't say you're out of your mind. Like that is a very fun bracket to watch this season.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think 126 is, for me, it kind of leans to Dawson Thompson. But
I do too.
But that doesn't mean that it's a foregone conclusion. I mean, we're not talking about, Chase Horn or Matthew Singleton, or, individuals that Caleb Henson, we know kind of what the expectation we'll get to. But it's going to be pretty competitive. And the other part that's going to be really competitive is that the battle through the backside to figure out who places. And Gilmer and Rockmart probably will be in some battles and in a team battle to see who wins.
I think
Sonoraville.
This is where I think Sonoraville is going to have issues and this is kind of where this is where duels individuals are very different to me. Individually, I don't know if their 3 or 4 big hammers are going to earn enough points by themselves to carry them when you have a Rockmart and Gilmer who damn near are going to place in 10 and have probably 4 in the finals each. It's going to be tough.
Right. So again, for wrestling people or people who are not into wrestling and looking at the team points as closely as
not cases like
some of us do, getting one of the things I always said about South Dade in Florida was that they bring 13 kids to the state tournament, but the reason they win a state title or they won many state titles is because they get points from all 13 kids. And that is what is going to be needed. The Brigham Berry or, the Gunnar Chambers getting wins, whether you lose in that quarter or you don't lose in that quarter, you lose in the first round, getting points on that backside is so very important to the ultimate outcome in a team race.
Agreed 100%. I mean, Collins Hill, we thought bad my senior year. We had 5 in the finals, 4 champs and a runner-up. And 2 of us pinned in the finals. And the only other thing we had was a 3rd place, and Camden placed 11 with 1 champion and 1. Or right. 2 champions. 2 champions. Sorry, they 2. Still, like, Nate Efforts taught me this, and we found out the hard way. The backside guys are the keys to winning championships in duels and individual. We saw it in duels that some backside guys did their job. in duels across the state. They did their job, and that's why their team won a state title. It's the same thing here in individuals.
Agreed.
Which, by the way, my duel, for everybody that was making fun of my duel predictions, I was damn near spot on for most of them. So, yeah.
Well, I actually was going to start by saying, I think Lucas right now is getting ready for the final exam here with the Georgia State tournament, and I think he carries about a low A into this final exam.
Right now, I have some good predictions.
He was pretty good. He missed a few, but you know what? We all miss a few. So
Jefferson.
All right. Well, it happens.
We'll get there when we get to 4A. We'll get there.
3A 132. Defending champ Isaac Lindley is in this bracket.
You're reigning and defending. I'm doing that whenever we have a defendant. But by the way, Isaac Lindley is probably our favorite here. Dude's a hammer at Daresville. But I mean, Logan Moore sitting up there, probable finals matchup, waiting on him. I mean, obviously a James Murray from Rockmart could have something to say about that. And maybe a Braden Thorne. Yeah,
Braden Thorne. Hayden Biggs is a returning state placer.
Excuse me.
It's a good bracket, but Lindley is the returning champ. And he looked good in his sectional. So
he did from what I've seen, he looked good. He's just one of those kids. He finds a way to win sometimes. He'll be in a weird spot and he'll just find a way to win. And at the state tournament, especially if you are a defending champion, I mean, having been there and done that, when you're a defending champion, it's different walking into Macon. Knowing that top spot was where you sat last year and you want to finish in that same exact spot and you don't want to change a thing. So when you can just find a way to win.
So walking into Macon as not ever having had that spot, right? Or walking in as having had that spot and returning as a champ, which one has more nerves?
Oh, I had more nerves going in and was the defending champion. I had more nerves, especially my senior year, because, you had guys like, that Southeast Wrestling guy talking about, who's going to knock DeSilva from his top spot. And it's like, bro, why are you putting more of a target on me? I get it. But in all seriousness, it genuinely is. I had more nerves when I was a junior going into senior, winning 160 my junior year, and then staying there to defend that title. It's walking into Macon. Everybody knows who you are. That arena is very aware of who you are, and they're just waiting for someone to knock you off. That's what it is, because everybody loves an upset.
Everybody does love an upset.
We love that when my junior year, that heavyweight from Cherokee who got ninth at sectionals, got in because someone was ineligible, and he made his way to the finals. We all love stories like that. We don't love the reigning champion dominating comfortably. So, hey, guess what, Lindley? They're going to be pulling against you. Go make it happen.
There you go.
Go get you some. Go get you a second ring, dog. Go do it.
All right. So we got 138, which for me, just at first glance, is kind of a wide open weight class.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
No, I agree. Where is there he is.
Where is who?
I was looking for the Rockmart kid.
Yeah. Winners. I don't remember. I've written it up. But he ended up. I think he forfeited after losing his semifinal match.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out.
Sixth. Forfeited the sixth. So actually, this is the first time we've had this where somebody forfeits the sixth and they're not really a true six.
Yeah. So like I said, throw darts. And because there's a couple. I mean, obviously, winners can go. Bentley can go. The kid there out of Luke. I've seen in the
the Pike County kid Warner.
I've seen him go. He can go. Connor Free, Bogman, Payne, but I've seen Connor Free a good bit out of North Hall. I know he can bang, but if the bracket works the way I think it would, he would then have a semifinal either of Bogman or Bo. So or Bloats or how do you say his Blue? Okay.
I think it's Blue.
Sorry, my boy. Like, no, because I actually know him. Like, I saw him at a tournament before. He's a cool dude. So excuse me if I don't know how to say your name right, but that's a very interesting bracket. That's one of the brackets where I look at it and I'm like, I don't know who to pick.
Right. So for me as a fan, okay, you've got top level wrestling with some of the names I threw out before, right? But when you wrestle with A classifications, their matches aren't going to be overly competitive. And that's a little frustrating for a fan. That's why you turn to a weight class like 138, where the difference between the section champs and the placers and so on and so forth is much less. And for a fan, you get to watch some really close, tight wrestling, maybe not as good of wrestling as we've seen with some of the others, but they're very competitive with one another. And that actually, for me, is always fun to watch.
Yes, no, I agree. I agree 1,000%. It's one of those brackets where that is a popcorn bracket. That is a...
Oh, there you go. Popcorn.
You circle the rounds of 12. You circle the quarters. You make sure you're looking at the track board because you want to see those matches.
All right, let's jump to 145.
And that's one of those weights that has a lot of team title implications, too.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of team title implications, here's another one here where things can get dicey. Obviously, my brain goes to Gage Lee at a Pike, 36-7. He's looked good all year. I had the chance to see him. I forget the tournament, but I did get a chance to see him bang. The dude can hit. Nathan Brown out of
Bowen.
Oh, Nathan Bowen is him. Sorry, I looked like a Brown.
I think he's a brother of Mac Bowen, but I could be wrong.
What school is that?
Coney County.
Oh, Coney County. I was trying to figure out. Out of Coney, I've never seen him go, but I mean, he won his section as a sophomore. Good for him.
And maybe I'm completely wrong about relationships. By the way, I think.
Then you have a Hunter Wilson and a Wilder Davis sitting there waiting in the quarters. On that far side, this is one of those weights where, okay, if you're a Gilmer, you see that brother, him getting that first win and then being able to work through the backside is huge. Because it's one of those weights where you're not expecting a state title out of him, but you need points out of him.
Right. And
I'm going to throw a team out there.
Okay.
If you are a Daresville and you seriously want to prove that you are a top 4 team in this class, because I hear it all the time that a Daresville is a good team, and they are. Don't get twisted. Don't get twisted. This is one of those weights where Spates is going to need to get you to 5th, 6th. He's going to need to find a way to get through the bracket for you, because if not, we've already seen some weights where they don't even have a guy in the bracket. Like, you're going to need to make a point somewhere, and of course they have their dogs that can go and get a title, but you need the backside. So this is a fun weight for me. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be Gage Lee, just from what I've seen. But I mean, I could be wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think it's a pretty wide open bracket. I don't remember who I put down. It might have been Gage Lee. It was certainly one of the 2 sectional champs. I agree with you in that I think that there's going to be some really good opening round matchups. And it will be really interesting to see who is able to battle through. The Rockmart kid sealed it for the Rockmart versus Gilmer duel. He's second in his section. I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me to see somebody like that be able to battle through and get to the state finals, and have a chance to win.
All right, this is what I'm asking you. Over or under a section 3rd placer will make the state meet in the state of Georgia this year?
Oh, definitely.
So do you see a 4 seed out of the section getting there? You see where this game starts to happen of, okay, who's going to be the guy? Now, by the way, I'm not including the forfeits out. Like a true guy got 3rd, guy got beat in the sems, went and got 3rd. Like, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that, it's a really good question, right? So you always kind of look for those. You take certain weights and you go, well, no, it's not going to happen there. And no, it's not going to happen there. And no, it's not going to happen there. So now you've reduced it down to, a handful of weights that you look at and you go, okay, this is a weight class where I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen.
Maybe could happen.
But I will say that there are weights where there is not a really established favorite.
Yeah, sure.
And things go a particular way. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see someone who finished 4th, 5th, or 6th find their way to get there. Now, I'm not saying they're going to necessarily win it,
but they can get there.
But they can get to the finals. And
I'm not mad at that.
That's that type of run that you were just talking about with the kid who was the alternate who came in and then made the run all the way to the finals. Now, the kid who was the alternate,
he had a terrible mullet too. That was crazy because we were all making fun of him, and then all of a sudden he knocks off a number 1 and then works his way quarters, semis. He was in the state final. I think he got pinned by Glavin, the West Forsyth kid. But even then, at that point, who cared? Like he got is his name Glavin? Why am I losing my mind? I know this kid. Why am I losing my mind?
Heavyweight?
Yeah, he went to UGA to play football. Why am I
Fairchild?
Why did I just say Glavin? What is? You go. You talk.
I think the kid that you're talking about is Todd Parks. And
Cherokee kid.
And Todd was a little bit. Actually, it happened. I think it happened twice that year. It happened there, and it happened with Sam Harris, who had gotten injured at sectionals and had taken 9th. Was the alternate coming in. And
I didn't even know that Sam was the 9th there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Now, Sam, you could totally correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember a case where I'm looking at these 2 number 9s coming in as alternates. They're not real number 9s. They're not real number 9s.
Don't you mean Team Fat and Scrappy member Sam Harris? Get it right.
You know what? You're gonna have to send me the list so I can do that before I talk to him.
Oh no, don't worry, because you don't know the list today. Because I'm calling every one of them out. So he's one.
All right, here we go. 152, 3A, 152. Talk to me a little bit about this one.
So this is a fun weight.
It is.
Because both the sectional winners, from what I've seen this season, when it comes to matches I've seen, have wrestled beautifully. You look at Turner from Rockmart. The dude is a athletic freak of a sophomore. Dude has got a lot of wrestling acumen, and I'm very high on him. He's another kid. Hey, my Rockmart people. Yeah, DM me him too. He's another one. And then you look up at Queen at Oconee, and everything I've seen of this kid, and I remember him from years ago not being the best, and that's not disrespect. I mean, he just wasn't what he was, but just continued to make those grinds and digging and clawing his way, and now he's in a chance in a real good spot to try to make a state final. You looked a little bit underneath them at a Joey Carew at a North Hall and a Robert
Keha? I don't know.
Keha out of Appleton. Shout out Appleton County. Yeah. I don't know too much about it. I know Carew from years on, having been to going to clubs and stuff. But hey, there's another one of those weights as well. Let's keep in mind Dirk Junkins and Miguel Jercito. I could be wrong, at a Gilmer and Sonoraville. This is one of those weights where that first round is going to be super important. If they can get that first round win, even if they lose in the quarters, because remember, there is no different round. The losers of the 12 and the quarter will see each other. I don't know how it's drawn, but they will see each other on that backside. So imagine if you get into the Concy quarters and you're 2-1 instead of 1-1. That's really important in team points, like in the numbers game. That's 2 matches that you could be earning points through. Like a very, very interesting weight. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be at a Rockmart. I will not lie to you, but this is a fun weight, man.
I agree with you. I don't actually have anything to add. I think actually what you just said is exactly what I was thinking. I think that Jacinto Gilmer is an important wrestler to get points for them, whether that happens on the front side or the back side. That potential quarterfinal with Joey is interesting. Yeah, it's going to be really good. Really important. All right, so 160.
I gotta make that a thing. My certified popcorn bracket of the class.
We need to get a gift going of
damn,
doing
damn. It. All right, 160 pounds. This is This is one of the weights where there's a kid I'm very high on, Zane Fairbanks out of Oconee County, 42-4 on the year. That dude is a freak of nature. Athletically speaking, I had the chance to roll with him and work with him this summer once or twice. There's another Oconee County boy. We'll talk about him later. Bigger dude. But I'm very high on Zane Fairbanks, but I also know, wait, who's that at the bottom?
That's Anthony Manella, who's transferred in from Baylor, now wrestles at Mary Persons.
What the hell? When did this happen? Like, what the? Okay, so my favorite, Tone Manella. I'm not explaining why. Like, I'm not. Like, what? Why are you married Parsons? Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, in 3A, Anthony Manella is the younger brother, right? Of what was it? 3-time, 2-time? How many state titles? 2?
He got injured, so I think 2-time.
2-time state champ, Woodward Academy, and current University of Pennsylvania wrestler.
Vincent Manella.
And he has spent the last couple of years at Baylor wrestling. And
I thought that's where he was. I thought he was still there. Right. Obviously not.
He's not. He's back down in Central Georgia. And as a result, he's very tough. And it'll be really interesting. I agree with you on Fairbanks, though. Fairbanks is good. I actually look at this bracket, and I'm going to bring it up one more time.
No, if they, like, this is one of those brackets where I kind of focused in on Fairbanks because I know him. But please,
that top side of the bracket is tough.
Oh, Diego just see. Okay, I know of him out of Gilmer. He's tough.
Right, and Diego was a placer last year. I believe maybe a state runner-up. I thought
he might have been a runner-up. I think, because didn't he lose to hell? I think he's a runner-up. I genuinely think he is, though.
You've got Braden Nance from Cherokee Bluff sitting there. You got Fairbanks. So the top side of this bracket's tough. That means that Manella had to win some tough matches to win his section, to beat those individuals. Now, he may not have wrestled both those individuals, but he wrestled at least Nance.
Yeah, he had to wrestle Nance.
Right. So I do think that the top side of this bracket is a lot of fun to look at.
Yeah. And my favorite is obviously Manella, but shout out to Zane Fairbanks.
All right. So let's go to 170.
All right. So here you got Colt Weaver out of Sonoraville, 36-3 on the year. Dude is a hammer. You got Zeke Harris out of North Hall, 36-5 on the year. Sophomore. Dude is a hammer. You have Reynoso out of Gilmer. He's sitting a little bit lower than I thought we'd be seeing him at in this bracket. But I'm going to put my finger on a second placer out of Oconee County, Eric Thompson, the senior, 37-9. He's I won't lie, this is again a little biased. I worked with him and Fairbanks over the summer. Dude can go. He obviously lost to Weaver in the sectional final. Mm-hmm. This is a fun bracket, though. I don't think this is a open and shut case for anybody. I think this is it's going to be who's on their day. And it could be a Thompson. It could be a Weaver. It could be a Reynoso even out of Gilmer. Don't be surprised, because those Gilmer guys have been known to, all right, we had a little bit of a weird sectional. It's all right. Brush a shoulder off. We're going to go win a state title from a 5 spot. So it should be. I'm very interested by that bracket. What is that, 170?
Yeah, that's 170.
You know what? Popcorn approved. Get your popcorn for that one. Go buy the overpriced popcorn for $8 a barrel. Go do it. Sit there and watch that bracket. Thank you.
If it's overpriced, is it at least free refills like it is at the movie theaters?
Hell no. No, they tax you. No, they tax you at Macon. You know better than that. Come on. It's Macon. It's all about the money.
All right. So, I agree with you. I think Colt Weaver is probably the favorite. The thing that's interesting about the bracket is that Zeke Harris has, he's a sophomore. He's sitting in the room with like the Hunter Adams and, the other North Hall kids who are tough. And I don't know that he was a state qualifier last year. I don't know that he wrestled last year.
I think he was a backup last year. I think he was a backup.
And, you're talking about somebody who has gone from not really being, on that level to now being in the conversation. So it's very interesting to see. It's very cool to see, those.
I mentioned his name. I do like Zeke Harris, by the way. I do know him from North Hall and kind of Roundtree. He's good. Don't get it twisted. Dude can bang. That's going to be a fun weight.
All right. So let's go to 182, where we have Gavin Harper and Hunter Adams as our two sectional champs. Aaron Flood had a really good run at sectionals, lost to Adams in the finals. Overall, what do you think?
This is a weird bracket for a lot of reasons. I want everybody to take note of the field. Notice the two schools that have no representative of 182 pounds. This is a bracket where a Sonoraville, if you want to make some noise and really make a run, if you score, what would it be, 21 here? Because there's only 3 matches. Oh, no, because he has the bye, so it would still be 28 from quarterfinal spot because you get the bye in the double run-up of whatever you get in the first round. So he still can get 28. If he can get 28 from here and it's Gilmer nil and Rockmart nil, that's big in that weight. But let's also keep in mind who he will be presumably seeing in the finals, Hunter Adams, who is a banger. That kid can give you the business. I like both of them. Both of them can give you work. Hey Hunter, hit me up. I need me a big guy anyways. Yeah, like this is a really fun bracket. And on that far side, if you're looking for a kid in those in the round of 12, I am high on Jamian Long out of Daresville. Dude's a sophomore. If he could get, and this is not a diss to him because I'd be willing to wager he was a football player turned wrestler. Freak athlete, has a good mind. If he can just get the wrestling aspect of it down, that kid is going to be dangerous in a year or two. I like him a lot, though. Don't be surprised if you see him on the podium. Don't be surprised. Actually, I'll go on record. He'll be on the podium.
Okay. All right.
He'll go get 5th or 6th or 4th. He'll go get it.
Actually, it's interesting because I think that they're placing top 6, but they're not wrestling the 5th and 6th place match, which, again, I don't understand.
I hate this state.
It makes no sense to me. If you're there and you're wrestling,
wait a minute, go to the bracket.
Why award 2 5th place and
not
go to
the bracket? I gotta count this then, okay? Because I bet I could tell you why. Oh wait, no, it's a multi-day tournament. Never mind. Never mind. I was gonna say the 5-match-a-day rule, but I was like, wait a minute, it's not a one-day tournament.
No, it's not a one-day tournament.
I hate this state so much.
You know what, Lucas, you can, and I have my own complaints as it relates to things, but head to another state, you'll be as frustrated about the decisions that are made by other states as well. So,
but at least there we wouldn't have 114 brackets to look over.
No, that's a true statement.
Come on, I know it is.
Unless we're in Virginia.
Oh hell!
Virginia has a ton of brackets.
You might as well just pick New Mexico at that point because they have 6 too. I mean, at that point.
All right, so 195, defending champ Jeb Knight. No, sorry, he lost in the finals, right? Last year.
You've been wasting my voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped to the conclusion. My fault. Apologies. Knight from Sonoraville sits there as a section champ. Devin, I don't know, Hunty. I don't know how to say his last name.
Hunt. Hell, that's a weird.
From was it North Murray?
Yep, North
actually
Murray
won the other section. But I think did so over Owen Moss of Gilmer and James Lynch of Daresville. So yeah, I lean towards Knight. Knight has looked really, really good this year.
No, I would 1,000% agree. This is a weight where I'm not going foregone conclusion. I'm not going Big Mama Chase Horn. I'm not going Matthew Singleton. But someone would have to pull off a massive upset, and I'm almost willing to say I wouldn't be surprised if it more or less comes from the top side. Lynch and Moss can bang. I don't know Hute. So the problem is I don't want to sound like I don't know Hunt, Hute. I'm not as familiar with North Murray, but shout out to them. They've had a good season. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, and I don't know that the 5-1 record is actually indicative or is actually accurate because
with track is stupid. Remember, it only shows the matches you wrestle at that weight class.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, so he could have been in 82 and bombed.
Got it. All right. So let's jump over to 220.
But hey, at Daresville, this is another one of those weights for you, James Lynch.
So 220 is one of my favorite weights in 3A.
Oh, okay. I agree. Ooh.
And the reason it's one of my favorite weights, for those of you
I see why.
You got Galloway, who's a returning state runner-up. You've got Ammons, who's a returning state placer. Arroyo, who's a returning state placer. Draven Peppers, who I don't believe placed, but I could be wrong. Isaiah Pryor, who has actually wrestled exceptionally well this year. This is a deep weight with a lot of really potential good matchups.
Isaiah Pryor has been on demon time this whole season, and I don't get it. Like, no offense to him. I didn't know who he was, and I saw him at a tournament just giving somebody the business, and I was like, oh, okay, who is this kid? But no, I agree. This is literally a weight where I think anybody of those four that you first mentioned could sit on the top podium, and I won't be surprised. I am going to be a little bit transparent. I know Dylan Galloway pretty well. I've seen him a couple times. I saw him at the Grappler, have a great run to the finals. I've seen him come to camps at
heavyweight. At heavyweight.
Yeah, like that kid can go. But so he's like one of those tweener heavies, 220s. If I had to put my money somewhere, gun to my head, I am going to put my money on Dylan Galloway, but I'm not surprised if he drops a match in the semis. I'm not surprised if he drops in the finals. Like, this is a good bracket. This is a very fun bracket to watch as a whole because there could be 4 separate champions, and I wouldn't be surprised.
So I couldn't say a bit better myself. I agree with you in that Galloway, I believe, is my favorite. You'd have to go look it up, but you know, you got people all over the place who have wrestled really well, and there's going to be some really good matches early on in this bracket.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Go to SEWrestle.com/SEWrestlePlus.
Speaking of which, I got to get you a membership.
Please. Like, no, please. Like, genuinely, I want to look at these damn rankings. I can't. I know George Grappler personally. I can't even get him to give me one, for damn sake.
Here we go. 285. Now, this is where we have a Knight as a defending champ.
Reigning and defending.
Okay. But, you know, this is another really good weight class. This is another really good weight class. Jace Davis from Rockbart is tough on the bottom. Tony Olea, I believe, from Gilmer is tough. And then I'm going to give you a kid to watch once you tell me what you think about this bracket. Oh, you were eating.
Oh, no. I agree 100%. I'm a big fan of Knight and Davis. My favorite would be Jax Knight. But I wonder if we both have the same kid to watch.
All right, who is it?
I like me some Micah Reed.
Micah Reed is the person to watch. There is no doubt.
He can go. And I had a lot of – I forget what tournament I watched him at. Like, and it's pissing me off because like, I've been to a couple tournaments this year, but like because of where I am, I haven't been going to like normal ones. I've been going like I went to the duels at Jeff Davis.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, I agree. That kid can go.
Yeah, and I believe, and I could be wrong, but according to Track Wrestling, I believe he took Knight to double overtime in the semifinals last weekend.
I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like a matchup that he could really do some damage in just because of his style compared to Jax. But it's just one of those things where he really might get through that bottom side. Like I'm really sitting here, but I like Jess Davis at a Rockmart, man. Like this. Yeah. Let me tell you something about this team race, though. If Knight and Davis get to the finals, this could damn near get to where we have Jess and Knight in the finals, and the 3A team race is on the line.
I agree with you. I agree.
Like, it could happen.
I agree.